Okay, so this is the different steps, as I mentioned. I'm in Rhino. I have, let's call it the project. This is the project I like, and it's a project that I want to take all the way to my panel, and I want to present it in my panel. I'm not going to tell all of the little details that the panel projects will include, but I'm going to talk about the most important ones, and we will expand from there. The first thing we need to do is have a project. We'll talk about that in the future, but let's imagine this is a project for now. By the way, the project should be like interesting, fun, and like you should kind of love it in a way. So formally speaking, and it should suggest something interesting to you. We need to find a view that we like. Okay, one of the views that we're going to be asking for is actually the axonometric. So if we don't select anything, we can go to properties, and under projection, we can take this to parallel view. This is an isometric or axonometric, means that this line and this line that are parallel in the object are parallel in the view as well. Okay, we can go back to perspective as well if you want. But in general, I'm going to do an axonometric, which is parallel view. I'm going to prefer view. I'm going to center the object in the interface like I have it right now, and I'm going to use the famous command make 2D. I press enter. It's going to say select objects to draw, which is the project. I'm going to press enter, and there's several options here. I'm going to select the third angle projection, maintain source layers, and then hidden lines. We want the hidden lines. This is the stuff that is behind the object. Let's say okay. I go to layers. I notice some layers are appearing here. So that's good. There's many more layers. And I'm going to go without deselecting to the top view and see what happened here. I'm going to use the gumball, click on this little area that allows me to move in 2 directions at the same time. And I'm going to move it to the right and top. This actually is the result of the make 2D command. I go to perspective. Notice that it's actually a planar set of lines and curves. So what the command make 2D does is take the view that we have and creates a drawing of that view and a drawing of the top, right, and back views. Some of the elevations and the top view and the axonometric of an object. These drawings, we want them in InDesign at the end. Perfect. We have a drawing. The perfect software actually to work with in order to clean these lines is Illustrator. So in order to take it to Illustrator, we need to first export. Now it's very important that we export from the top view, not from the perspective, not from the front, left, etc. We go to the top view, select what we want to export, which is the make 2D line drawings, and we're going to go to File, Export Selected, and we're going to choose Illustrator. I'm going to call it a test 1, and I'm placing it in desktop. You might want to have a folder or something with all of your work for the first phase and the semester. I'm going to say enter, which is save. The default's okay. And I'm going to jump now to Illustrator. Illustrator, I'm going to actually say open. Directly, I will be able to see the exported element, test 1. And here is the drawing. One thing we don't know at this moment is how big is actually the paper space. Normally, Illustrator, when you open a new file, takes the latest file paper space. What I'm going to do is a new Illustrator file, print, and just for you to get a hold of this, I'm going to use a letter size. I'm going to say create. Here in the top, I have both of them. What I'm going to do is select the old one, Control C, which is copy, and before I Control V, as in victory, I'm going to make sure that in the little paragraph in the layers, I have this check. Paste, remember, layers. If I don't have this check, I'm going to actually uncheck it. If it's like this, when I Control V as in victory, I do not bring the layers with me. As I usually say, bam, bam, bam. Wrong. I'm going to go back, Control C, and make sure this is check, paste, remember, layers. When I Control V now, I get two nice, beautiful layers right there. One of them is called hidden, and the other one visible. It's fantastic because those are the ones I need. I'm going to select all of the lines. I'm going to scale this, but guess what? If I do this, problem. Control C, going back, make sure when you scale always to press Shift. Shift to scale objects proportionally. I have the drawings. They don't look horrible, but we can do a lot to make them nicer, a bit more crispy and more legible. One of the things is, for example, the dash line. We can make it a little bit smaller dash, maybe a little lighter. How do we do that? First, instead of selecting one by one, which would be ridiculous, we're going to select the circle of the entire layer that allows us to select all of the objects of that layer. That is for the hidden one, click the circle. I'm going to double click on the color of the stroke to make it a little lighter, gray tone. While it's selected still, I'm going to go to the stroke, make it a little thinner, 0.5 maybe. And the dash line, I'm going to make it smaller, maybe 3 and 3, gap and dash size. I deselect, and I can even zoom in to see how it looks. I like it better. Next, I'm going to select on the layers, the other layer, visible. Click the circle. I don't like the green. I'm going to use a black one for now to keep it simple. The color of the stroke will be black now. And maybe 1 is good. Maybe I can make it a little bit bigger. 2 is too much, so I can say 1.5 maybe. And no dash line. Everything looks good as it is. Deselect. Maybe now that I see it, that visible line is a little bit too thick. So I'm going to go back again, select the visible lines, stroke, and return to 1 point. Sometimes we need to test things and we don't like them after testing. Now I think it's professional. Now it looks like a very clean and very rigorous and at the same time sophisticated. Now I can see what's behind with the hidden lines. One thing I don't like is that the dash line is on top of the visible line. That's something I'm not happy about. So I'm going to go to the layers and as simple as selecting the hidden line and drag it underneath the visible. So this is now even better. I'm happy. We're obviously missing a couple of things, such as the rendering behind and the section that we will be including in the future. But for now, this is looking good. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to give it a something like project 1 underscore, and we can call it like test 1. You normally say yes to the standards for Illustrator, and that's the name. I'm going to go now to InDesign. As I mentioned on our first class, InDesign is a little bit of, I can take everything Just bring it on to me. So one thing I'm going to do is actually maybe get rid of this stuff, because this is only for your reference. Or what we can do is even go to the layers and maybe turn off these things. It's in a layer called do not print. So it's actually good even to hide it. Or in InDesign, I can say File, Place, and I can select the file I created. So open. Sorry, notice that I'm working on the do not print. I shouldn't be placing when I'm in a layer that is turned off, obviously. So I'm gonna go select images and place now. And I place it. Okay, I'll make sure that that's in the image layer, perfect. And notice how bad it looks. If you know about InDesign, you're not scared. If you don't know about InDesign, you're scared, thinking, what the hell, I've been working all day and it looks horrible. But don't worry, if you select the image in InDesign, this is just a preview of the software that allows you to work in a more efficient way. But it's actually there, all the information is correct. If you want to see it the most like clean way, you can always select the image and right click, display performance, high quality. Okay, you can work like this, but it's just going to be a little slower for InDesign. So normally you will work with the display performance typical, and you just know that it's going to work and everything's going to be fine. That is just a preview for you to work more comfortable. Okay, obviously we're missing a couple of ingredients. Here I was saying, do an axonometric with color. We don't have the color. We do have the elevation, 1 and 2, these two. We do have the perspective. No, we have to create a perspective as well. We need a section. So there's some ingredients that are not here, but the process is exactly the same, and we will see that in the next move. For now, is simple ABC from Rhino to InDesign. Imagine we have all of the projects here. We're going to type down here the title of our project, which we don't know yet. We're going to place here our name and you don't have to put your email. You can delete that in the class, in professional, whatever. Your name is important though. Once you're done, you're going to save the InDesign file. And as you know, you're going to export. Always as a PDF print because we want to print it. And we're going to call it like that and test 1. Okay, this looks good. Export. There's like a thinking little chart here. Once it's done, it's working. And now you can just go. I don't know if you see the file explorer here. Hopefully you do. The test 1 is here, the PDF. Double click. And that's our file. It has one single project. It's missing pieces and things, but this is the whole process. You go to the plotter in the computer lab, and you go to File, Print. You select the printer or the plotter. If it's the printer and you want it smaller, what you do is say fit, or you can also say custom scale 50%. It's going to be exactly the tabloid size. You can just say fit, no problem. But if you're going to use the plotter, you obviously want to select the plotter here, and then you don't want to have fit. You want to say custom scale 100 because it's a perfect, dimension you want to take out. If that makes sense. You will set the properties, etc., and you will say print. And that's more like the last phase. We still have to do a lot of things, bring in more drawings here, etc., etc. Okay, let me stop this.